Having returned from rebirth, I resolutely tore up the leave of absence application. No longer wanting to give up my studies for Mary as I did in my past life. Becoming a house husband when she found out the news and called me, I didn't hesitate to block her. She camped out in front of my house, so I simply moved out overnight, completely cutting off all contact with her. Later, she compromised and suggested that I go to New York to study with her so I could take care of her. But how could I fall into her trap again? I secretly applied to Southern Normal University behind her back, determined to distance myself from her world and start a new chapter of my own life. In her past life, she held the country and the world in her heart, caring deeply for those around her, yet she was cold and indifferent towards me. In this life, all I seek is to never see her again, to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Later, I went to a remote area in the western United States to engage in volunteer work. To my surprise, she, as a volunteer doctor, also came here. The moment she saw me, her eyes instantly turned red, and she rushed over to tightly grasp my hand, as if afraid I would disappear again. "George, don't run away this time." At the critical moment when the teacher was about to sign the leave of absence application, I snatched the application away in a flash and tore it into pieces. The homeroom teacher's face flashed with a hint of anger. "Do you think teachers have nothing to do? Your grades are so good, yet you insist on applying for a leave of absence. I worked hard to help you apply for a month, and now you suddenly tear it up. What exactly do you want?" I lowered my head and sincerely apologized to the teacher. "Teacher, I'm sorry. I've thought it over, and I want to drop out. I want to study hard and apply to a normal university." The commotion here was quite significant, quickly attracting the attention of all the teachers who gathered around. "Have you finally figured it out? Great, now I have hope of getting the bonus at the end of the term. The speaker is my math teacher. Throughout my senior year, my math grades have always been at the top, and he has also benefited from it, earning quite a bit of bonus himself." Other teachers chimed in. "Yeah, you made it known throughout the school that you wanted to drop out to become Mary's house husband," which really worried everyone. "These teachers have always shown me great care, and my excellent grades are inseparable from their meticulous guidance. This month's farce has everyone in the school watching me make a fool of myself. After all, Mary is smart, charming, and beautiful, and she carries herself with grace and poise, making her the goddess in the eyes of many boys at the school. However, Mary has always been indifferent towards me. If it weren't for the fact that we were betrothed as children, I fear I would have little chance of getting close to her. Fortunately, I was given a chance at rebirth." I walked up to the teachers and deeply bowed at a 90 degrees angle. In the past, I was young and ignorant, but now I have completely understood. I hope the teachers can overlook my previous foolish behavior and forgive me. The teachers' eyes were filled with satisfaction, and they nodded in agreement, indicating that I could approach them anytime for help with my studies. When I returned to the classroom, all eyes were on me, and even Mary was unusually waiting by my seat. In recent years, her health has not been very good. Her skin always appears sickly pale, and her figure is frail. She sits quietly there with her hair in a ponytail, looking obedient and cute. Even though I have lived a lifetime, seeing her like this again still stirs a ripple in my heart. She saw me walking over and asked, "Please help me put the book into my backpack." I held her hand and pretended to regretfully say, "The leave of absence application was not approved. You should go back first." Mary's expression instantly turned cold. "How is that possible? Are you still angry about me having breakfast with Tom this morning? I already said it was just a coincidence, and we are both class committee members, so it's inevitable that we would sit together to discuss things." The classmate beside them teased, "You two stop showing off your love here. And you, George, even Mary is willing to lower herself to coax you, so hurry up and agree. Don't dawdle." I remained calm and said, "No, it's true. I really need to study hard." I took back my backpack and said to Mary, "You should go back." Mary's eyes gradually turned red. "Okay." She suddenly stood up, the chair scraping against the floor with a harsh sound, and then strode back to her seat. Immediately, a book hit me hard on the head, and a girl stood up for Mary, saying, "George, don't go too far." I rubbed my head, pretended to be nonchalant, and lowered my head to continue working on the problems. After all, there were less than 30 days until the college entrance examination, and once it was over, she and I would have nothing to do with each other anymore. After school, Mary rode Tom's bicycle in front of me. I ignored it and just rode my own bike slowly behind them, keeping a distance. Mary and I were childhood sweethearts, and our families both moved from the countryside to the city to make a living. When we were young, our families witnessed the engagement arranged between us. But as the years went by, the relationship between the two families became delicate. Now, we have lived across the street from each other for 13 years. I can clearly feel that Mary's family doesn't like me. They are superficially polite to me, but in reality, they take Mary to various parties to meet those in high society, and Tom is their most preferred choice. In my past life, I was completely unaware that I would go so far as to sever ties with my family just to wholeheartedly take care of Mary. Therefore, when Mary and Tom had ambiguous actions, Mary's parents not only did not stop them but instead welcomed it wholeheartedly, completely disregarding me. In my past life, Tom even openly stole someone at my wedding with Mary. Mary's parents publicly stopped me and said harshly, "Tom isn't an important leader in a national research project. What do you, someone who can only cook and clean, have to compare with him? Our family has taken you in for so many years, you should be content and take good care of the children at home." My parents were also quite angry with my behavior. "Look at you now in such a pathetic state, who wants you? We advised you to study hard, but you didn't listen. You've ended up like this, you really deserve it." At that time I relied too much on Mary's family and could only agree with tears in my eyes, foolishly hoping that Mary would see my efforts and change her mind. However, after more than a decade of unwavering dedication, what I received in return was her indifference. I developed cancer due to overwork, and when my son and daughter found out, they actually cheered with joy. "Great, Mom can finally be with Uncle Tom forever. Hurry up and sign the divorce. Once you're dead, it won't matter to us anymore." Even Mary, who is a doctor, remained silent. Their words and actions were like sharp blades, deeply piercing my heart. In the end, I was forced to sign the divorce papers, driven out of my home by them, and died alone on a snowy night. In a daze, I seemed to see my mother in front of me, angrily scolding me, "What are you doing standing dumbly at the door? Our family doesn't need someone as foolish as you." Recalling the various events of my past life, I became even more resolute in my determination. I said to my mom, "Mom, I've decided to take the teacher training exam." Mom stared at me for a long time, and after confirming that I was serious, she suddenly beamed with joy, pulling me along while loudly sharing the good news with Dad. That night, our family had a rare dinner filled with laughter and joy. Looking at my parents in front of me, I held back my tears and ate heartily. In this life, I must be filial to them and make up for the mistakes of my past life. In the middle of the night, Mary sent me a message, "Did you tear up the application?" Soon, she sent a screenshot of the physics teacher talking to her about this matter. Because Mary's physics grades are better than mine, the teacher often asks her to help me, so the teacher casually mentioned this to her. I quickly replied, "Yes, I understand now. My parents are right, I should focus on getting into college first." Mary, however, did not understand and retorted confidently, "We don't lack money, so why are you working so hard? If you go study, who will take care of me?" "Fine, Tom." I silently thought to myself, but these words never got sent out. Tom doesn't know Mary as well as I do. She has always been frail and needs careful nurturing for a long time to recover. Mary's family is busy with their affairs and unwilling to hire a nanny, which is why I came up with the idea of being her full-time cook. Since she already knows my decision, let's make a clean break as soon as possible. I replied directly, "Let's break up," then decisively blocked her. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang urgently, accompanied by Mary's cough. "George, open the door for me." I covered my head with a blanket, pretending not to hear. In the end, it was still my parents who hurried to open the door after hearing the bell. Mary's voice was loud, "What about George? She must be driven crazy by me, her voice sounds much louder than usual." I heard her footsteps getting closer, and then Mom timely stopped her, whispering something to her. After a while, Mary finally left. After a while, my mom knocked on my bedroom door and gently asked me, "Sweetheart, since you and her have already broken up, can we put the moving plan we've been considering for a long time back on the agenda?" I quickly got up and nodded repeatedly, "Great, let's move quickly." The next day, my parents helped me apply for a leave of absence from school. Mary waited for me on my doorstep but had to go to school by herself. A few days later, I returned to school. When I saw Mary again, her complexion was even paler, and she was still wearing her school uniform jacket in the 26-degree weather. She blocked my way back to my seat with an unhappy expression. "You blocked my number and moved away. Do you really not want to marry me?" Curious glances from the surrounding classmates were directed at us. Mary seemed to realize that she had been a bit impulsive, grabbing my hand and heading outside. "Let's talk outside." After reaching an open space, I shook off her hand. "If you have something to say, hurry up and say it. Don't delay my study." She took out a still cool breakfast from her arms and handed it to me, which was her usual way of comforting people. Once, as long as she showed a little kindness, I would happily go to comfort her, simply because I loved her deeply. But after experiencing the pain of my past life, my feelings for her have dwindled to almost nothing. I didn't have breakfast and said, "I've already eaten, so you can leave this breakfast for someone else." Mary was a bit surprised, then frowned at me and said, "What's been going on with you lately?" "Tom and I really don't have anything going on. We've just gone out a few times under the guidance of both our parents. Is it really necessary for you to be this jealous? Plus, we've never spent time alone together." I raised my eyebrows in surprise. It turned out that not only did they have ambiguous actions in front of me, but they had actually gone out to have fun together privately. Even if they haven't spent time alone together these past few times, so what? According to the developments of the previous life, Tom would get into the university across from hers, and they would ultimately still be entangled with each other. Thinking of my tragic ending in my past life, I couldn't help but sigh. I no longer want to live such days. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Mary seemed to have made a compromise, but her tone still carried a hint of condescension. "All right, I agreed to let you go to college. Let's go to New York to study together, that way it will be easier for me to take care of you." I thought to myself, that really sounds like a kind of charity. She continued, "Tom and I are only together for our own interests. In the end, the person I will definitely marry is you. As a man, don't be so petty, be more open-minded." I interrupted her, saying, "Got it." I stared intently into her eyes, afraid she would see that I was lying. "When it comes time to choose my major, I will apply to schools in New York." Hearing this, Mary finally breathed a sigh of relief. It would have been better if it had been like this earlier. I've been struggling for so long. The morning wind was a bit strong, causing Mary to start coughing violently again. I skillfully shielded her from the wind, gently stroking her back to help her catch her breath. Her complexion gradually returned to normal, and she even looked a bit smug. I resisted the urge to leave immediately and walked back to the classroom with her slowly. Back in my seat, I began to study hard. With my current score, I still have some distance to go to get into Southern Normal University, but as long as I work hard, I will definitely achieve my goal. By then, she and I will be in the North and the South, and we will never see each other again. After school, Tom came to pick up Mary again. Since Mary was called to the office by the teacher and hadn't finished class yet, when Tom saw me, he deliberately blocked my way. "I heard you're not going to be a full-time house husband anymore and are going to take the college entrance exam with Mary?" I stood still and asked him, "Do you need something?" Tom scoffed, "I say, don't be so ungrateful. Your family situation has been getting worse compared to hers over the years, and just a few days ago, your family moved to a more remote area. Why don't you take good care of Mary?" I don't quite understand his thoughts. He continued, "I can't take care of her without your care. How can we play together with her frail body? I've already thought it through. After I marry her, it'll allow you to continue taking care of her. How about that?" Tom looked at me with a provocative expression on his face. I ignored his words and said calmly, "Think what you want, but I advise you to learn how to take care of people. After all, I won't have any contact with her in the future." Tom looked surprised and asked with some excitement, "Are you serious?" I squinted my eyes at him. It turned out that he said so much just to provoke me and force me to leave. That wish. I spoke again. At this moment, a passing classmate couldn't stand it any longer and spoke up. "Can you have some dignity? Who in the whole school doesn't know that they have an engagement? They will definitely be together in the future. What's the point of you provoking them now? George, if you can't retort, just fight back." Tom looked up and down at this classmate, instantly infuriated. "What's it to you? Mary and I are meant to be together. I came to pick her up today to discuss our engagement. Those childhood betrothals are old-fashioned nonsense. In this life, their progress seems to have advanced. Perhaps it was the same in the last life. I was just kept in the dark, foolishly believing that Mary loved me, unaware that she had long been engaged to Tom behind my back. The classmate wanted to say more, but I stopped them. Thank you for speaking up for me, but Tom is right. The betrothal of children is indeed a custom of the past. What they do tonight has nothing to do with me. I respect their choices and wish them well. Suddenly, an angry voice came from behind. George, what nonsense are you talking about? After seeing Mary, Tom's eyes lit up. He jogged over and hugged her, then looked up at me with a gaze full of provocation. Mary didn't struggle, just stared at me fiercely. I've really given you face. You keep making unreasonable scenes again and again. Since you won't admit it, fine, starting today, we cancel the engagement. I straightened my chest and almost couldn't help but laugh. All right, Miss Mary, your word must count. Mary's eyes instantly turned red. She took a deep breath and then began to cough violently. Tom held her tighter with one arm and hurried her into the car. As they passed by me, he deliberately bumped into me and said, "Don't regret it later. Don't come crying, throwing a fit, or worse." I sidestepped and walked away briskly without looking back. Having freed myself from them, I felt a sense of relief. After dinner at home, I began to review. There are only 20 days left until the college entrance examination, and I must make every second count. In the evening, when I was tired and ready to sleep, I accidentally opened my social media and saw that Mary had posted an update. In the photo, she and Tom are at the same banquet, both wearing blue dresses, clinking their glasses together, looking very well matched. I ignored it, turned off my phone, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. The next day, I received a text message from Mary. Don't think too much, it was my family who sent it. This excuse is really poor. I still haven't replied. When I encountered Mary in the classroom hallway, I sidestepped to avoid her, but out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of her standing still, staring at me intently. After that, her social media updates became more and more frequent, and her relationship with Tom grew increasingly close. Someone couldn't help but ask me, is it true that Tom is going to get engaged to Mary? I shrugged and said noncommittally, I guess so, they do seem to match well. Some people took the opportunity to mock me. TSK, George, you really ended up with nothing after all that flattery. No wonder Mary doesn't want you. I didn't pay any attention to these people. As such, the days passed one by one until the college entrance examination was over. Mary's family is worried about the bad reputation in their hometown and wants me to go back alone to break off the betrothal. After Tom learned about it, he smugly mocked, as expected, feudal old things should be completely discarded, otherwise it's always a hassle with all the pulling and dragging. But considering you were decent to Mary before, I can invite you to our engagement party. I nodded in agreement, then set off on the journey back home with the token given by Mary's family and the token for my own family. Although our hometown is remote, it is also a large family. The matter of dissolving the betrothal caused quite a stir. I patiently explained to my fellow tribespeople that this is a new era, and arranged marriages no longer hold any binding power. We young people should be free to love. Both sides sighed deeply after hearing this and ultimately resolved the matter peacefully. During the days waiting for the college entrance exam results to be announced, I stayed at home to accompany my parents. In my past life, I did not properly honor them, so in this life, I must make up for this regret. However, Mary and Tom, who had promised to get engaged, have yet to take any action. One day, while I was out buying groceries, I ran into Mary on the road. After she saw me, she strode over and tightly grasped my hand. Why haven't you tried to comfort me since the college entrance exam is over? We have a betrothal. Do you think avoiding me will help you escape reality? I find it somewhat baffling. Doesn't Mary know about her family's request for me to break off the engagement? I didn't explain, just said, aren't you and Tom doing quite well? He even invited me to your engagement party. Mary's eyes suddenly turned red, and she stared at me fiercely. Why didn't you think of coming to stop the wedding? I don't want to be engaged to him. I don't want to be with him. What I said that day about canceling the engagement was just in anger. Why can't you understand that? In fact, I understand very well in my heart. I just don't want to get entangled in their issues anymore. I have seen how Mary truly liked someone in a past life. When Tom casually praised a rare airtight clip, Mary would remember it and do everything she could to buy it for him. And on my birthday, even if I told her in advance which restaurant I had booked to celebrate, she would forget, and afterward, there would only be a faint apology. I did not respond to her words. Tom matches you perfectly in both appearance and status, and he would also be beneficial for your family's business. What more could you want? Mary felt increasingly wronged. But I don't like him. I initially wanted to accept the fact of a business marriage with him, but I realized I can't. The person I like is still you. Why are you so calm now, without a hint of jealousy? Because I no longer want to like you. Without your ties in this life, I have a broader world. I find your affection too light, not enough for me to give up everything. Mary continued, we agreed to go to New York to study together. You can't leave me. I won't say anything hurtful anymore. I looked at the tears in her eyes, reached out to gently wipe them away, and said softly, okay. Mary's lips couldn't help but curl up as she embraced me actively. At that moment, a rush of car sounds came. I saw Tom get out of the car, holding a woman's coat in his hand, looking at us. Mary and my arms stiffened for a moment and quickly broke free from my embrace. What are you doing here? Tom walked over with a smile and draped his coat over her. I saw you rushing out and was worried you might catch a chill, so I followed your trail to find you. He acted gracefully, subtly separating me from Mary. Watching him like this, I couldn't help but admire his skillful tactics. No wonder Mary likes him so much. After all, his way of handling rivals is so clever. Unlike me, he used to just cause a scene. I also saw Mary smile at him through the gap, her eyes showing no trace of disgust. I knew that this was how she gradually fell for him. Before the college entrance exam results came out, Mary often came to find me. Although my house and hers were quite far apart, no matter the weather, I could always see her waiting for me downstairs through the window at 10 o'clock every morning. As soon as I go down, she will stuff the snack she brought into my arms, and then drag me around to eat, drink, and have fun. Her temper has been getting better, and she is no longer as indifferent to me as she used to be. But every time she wants to hug me, before it's over, Tom would show up. He says he's just here to take Mary home. I have no reason to refuse, so I can only helplessly let go. Only Mary looked unwilling, but she never spoke harshly to Tom. When it happens too often, even my mom can't help but ask me, why does Mary always come looking for you? Do you want me to help you get rid of her? I shook my head and declined, it's just to get along as friends. After all, Mary is indecisive, and I am happy to enjoy the benefits she brings. But the next day, Mary did not show up. I saw the post Tom made on social media. It turned out that the two of them went on a trip out of town together. Mary explained to me, it was supposed to be a gathering of both families, but unexpectedly, neither set of parents came. I just said, have fun. A few days later, when the two returned home, Mary did not come because she was sick, but Tom did. After he saw me, he said triumphantly, so what if she comes to find you every day? With our parents around, you two will never be together in this lifetime. I advise you to give up early and stop thinking about going to New York to study with her. It would be useless even if you went. I said directly, I'm not going to New York, so don't worry. Tom was a bit surprised. Is that true? I nodded and said word by word, I can seriously tell you that I will not go to New York to study, nor will I be with her. That's just how Mary is, the more you push her away, the more she wants to cling to you. Instead of constantly avoiding her, I might as well deceive her a little. Besides, don't you know? Otherwise, how could she still be unaware of the fact that the betrothal has been cancelled? Tom was choked, opened his mouth, and did not refuse. I continued, then let's keep this secret until the day I go to school. Tom snorted coldly, his face full of disbelief. You better be telling the truth, or I won't let you off the hook. Soon, the results were out. The moment I saw that I had far exceeded the admission scores of Southern Normal University in previous years, I let out a deep sigh of relief. Mom and Dad excitedly hugged me and cheered, son, I knew you could do it. The homeroom teacher quickly sent a message asking me to return to school to fill out my application. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw Mary leaning against the car with Tom standing next to her. She waved her hand for me to get in the car as soon as she saw me. After getting in the car, she excitedly talked to me about life after going to New York, and it was clear that she was very pleased with her achievements. All of this fell into Tom's eyes, who was sitting in the passenger seat. I glanced over unintentionally and only saw the deep color of his eyes shining with jealousy. After arriving at school, he walked up to me and warned, "Remember your own words. His worries are unnecessary." I quickly filled out the application behind Mary's back. When she leaned in to take a look, I had already finished filling it out and closed the page. "I am afraid she'll get entangled," so I immediately explained. I slipped my hand. Mary had no doubts about me. Tom, however, was watching closely from the side and only relaxed slightly when he noticed the subtlety. "Right now, I'm just waiting for the admission notice." After receiving the admission notice, I set off on my journey to Southern Normal University overnight. No one except my parents knew where I was going. My parents told me that Mary waited for me downstairs for 2 days, and not finding me, knocked on doors one floor at a time until she found her home. Her parents told her that I had gone to study, but Mary just couldn't believe that I would leave her behind. She cried and begged her parents to tell her where I was, but they didn't say a word. In the end, it was Tom who took the person away. The South is different from where my home is. When I first arrived, I was a bit unaccustomed and often had a sore throat. While I still had time before school started, I worked part-time and explored the surrounding area. As time went by, I gradually adapted to everything here. By the time school starts, I will be able to skillfully establish good relationships with my classmates and teachers. 3 years of university passed by in a flash. When it came time for the internship in our senior year, everyone chose to go to big cities to teach with a formal position, while I resolutely chose to volunteer to teach in a remote area of the Pacific Northwest in the United States. In this rebirth, I become indifferent to fame and fortune. I hope even more to help more children escape the mountains and change their destinies. The journey to the Northwest is fraught with difficulties, but I didn't expect Mary to show up here as well. This rich young lady is actually willing to come to this remote mountainous area to be a volunteer. We all live in the dormitory arranged by the village. Tom helped Mary carry down the luggage piece by piece. Tom was stunned when he saw me. "George, you're actually here?" Mary, upon hearing this, immediately poked her head out. "George?" After confirming it was me, she jumped out of the car and ran towards me. I took a sudden step back and said, "Miss Mary, please have some self-respect." Mary saw that she had missed her chance, her eyes reddening at the corners. "It's been 4 whole years, and I still can't find you. Do you have any idea how much I've missed you?" I looked behind her and said, "Your fiancé is still here." The mention of Tom's face flashed with embarrassment, meanwhile Mary's expression instantly turned cold. "I don't want to know about their entanglements, I just want to leave." Mary realized and tried to catch up with me, but accidentally fell to the ground. "George, you can't just leave like this. At least give me a chance to explain." Mary's voice was loud, attracting the attention of many people around. "I don't want to stir up trouble," I just said, "let's talk more after we eat." At dinner time, I found a quiet place to eat. Mary sat across from me, and for a moment, we were both silent. I looked at her seriously and noticed that her complexion had worsened a lot compared to before, but now she had cut off the long hair she had always cherished, and her skin tone had become much healthier. I quietly waited for her to speak. Mary rubbed her hands and after a long time asked, "Where have you been studying all these years? After I couldn't find you back then, I waited at your house for a long time, but your parents wouldn't tell me anything. I had no choice but to search for you place by place. The country is so big, I couldn't find you anywhere. Why didn't you all tell me that the betrothal was cancelled? Why didn't you want to go to New York to study with me? It's okay if you don't come, I can follow you." Mary's questions came out in a rapid-fire manner, and as she spoke, she became increasingly aggrieved, pressing her lips together and looking at me. I told her, I went to the South to attend a teacher training college. Over these 4 years, I have traveled to many places and achieved good results at school. Coming here is also to make some contributions in other areas. These years, I've been doing well without you, didn't I? In an instant, Mary's tears fell. "Did you not think of me at all during those 4 years?" I quickly replied, "No. Since I dropped out of high school in my previous life, the whole world revolved around Mary. Later, after having children, I focused solely on her and the kids, completely unaware of the changes happening outside. Mary, on the other hand, flew higher and higher, eventually becoming a leader in a certain field of medicine. It has been proven that those who excessively rely on others, no matter how much they give, will never earn the respect of their family. Unlike in this life, although I have not yet achieved great success, at least there are people who respectfully call me teacher. Mary cried, her sobs growing louder until she was finally just hiccuping. She said her greatest regret was not holding on to me tightly every time she saw me, which allowed me to fly freely outside for 4 years, and in the end, I no longer loved her. This remark made me feel that she still does not truly respect me. After 4 years, she still hasn't learned how to respect others. I coldly turned my face away, not wanting to listen anymore. Mary stood up to block my path and said seriously, "No matter what you think, I will pursue you until you see my true heart. It doesn't matter if you don't love me, as long as I love you, that's enough. Whatever you say." I turned and walked away. I returned to the dormitory to prepare my lessons. The children here have such a poor foundation that even the 6th graders may not have knowledge levels equivalent to 1st graders in the city. After deep into the night, I lit a candle and continued working, feeling increasingly hot. I looked up and found a raging fire at the door. I suddenly stood up and shouted, "Fire!" After saying that, I immediately wanted to open the window to escape, but the window was sealed tightly. It was clear that someone had done this on purpose. I can only keep knocking on the door, hoping that someone nearby can hear. Is anyone there? However, no one responded. The soundproofing in this dormitory is not very good, how could there be no one at all? Seeing the fire spread, I took a deep breath and decided to break through the door. Bang! The door was also blocked. Just when I was feeling hopeless, Mary's voice came from not far away. "George." As soon as the words fell, I heard many footsteps. Everyone urged me to hold on. After being rescued, Mary pulled me towards her room. Perhaps I was a bit dizzy from being trapped for too long, or maybe her strength had really increased. For a moment I couldn't break free. Mary checked me up and down, and only after confirming that I was fine did she let out a sigh of relief. This incident alarmed the village chief. Within just 1 day, they found the arsonist, but I didn't expect it to be Tom. Because of attempted murder, he was temporarily tied up and someone was assigned to guard him overnight. In a few days, he would be sent to the town. I specifically went to find him. He has been having a very hard time these past few days. The once graceful man now looks quite disheveled. I don't understand why he wants to harm me. After he saw me, he struggled desperately with a cloth stuffed in his mouth, still whimpering, "Why didn't you die? Why do you still have to appear in front of Mary?" Tom seemed a bit crazy. The security guard at the door glanced inside several times warily. After I signaled to them that everything was fine, they reluctantly let go. Tom's eyes were red. I pulled the cloth strip out of his mouth, and he suddenly calmed down. He told me about what happened over the past 4 years. After Mary learned that I was missing, she kept looking for me. Except during school hours, she searched all the cities in the north and even waited at my doorstep during the summer vacation. She gave gifts to many people, saying that as long as they saw me, they should contact her. In her quest to find me, she got much tanner. In contrast, Mary has become increasingly indifferent to Tom. How could Tom endure such injustice? After all, during high school, even I could feel Mary's favoritism towards him. Over these 4 years, Tom learned to take care of Mary the way I used to. He rented the room next to Mary's off campus just to help her live a healthier life. But Mary always coldly took her things and refused to talk to him for the rest of the time. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Isn't Tom's current self just my past life? Tom continued to talk to himself. Until the 2nd year of college, Mary missed me so much that she got drunk at home. Tom, driven by greed, assaulted her, and when Mary woke up, she slapped Tom directly. When the two families found out, they forced them to get married. Mary was unwilling to agree to anything and insisted on waiting for me. However, Mary's parents thought that since it had come to this point, it would be better to get married first. If they had a child, at least the child would be legitimate. Finally, Mary was downcast for a week, but she finally agreed to this matter. Tom did more and more for Mary, gradually becoming like the person I was in my past life. From then on, they became a pair of resentful partners. I was somewhat astonished. Mary and Tom actually got married, but this was also within my expectations. I asked him, "Then why do you still want to kill me?" Tom was even more agitated. "It's all because of you. Why did you come here to teach? Mary was about to accept me, and just because of you, everything has gone to waste. I hate you. I can't understand what makes you better than me." In terms of family background, in terms of looks, what do I lack? But she just likes you. I listened to him continuously roar and vent until he was completely exhausted, panting heavily. I said in a flat tone, because you only revolve around her, losing yourself. A person without a self, no matter where they go, will not be cherished by others. The next day, Tom was tied up by the villagers and sent to the police station to be imprisoned. Because of this incident, his school revoked his diploma and will never employ him again. Mary also said she wants to divorce him. Then, because an infectious disease broke out among the village children, she became extremely busy. She was so busy that she didn't even have time to come and see me. That we are like strangers who once knew each other. But when she was really tired, she would always come to the door of my room to sleep in the middle of the night, as if seeking a bit of comfort. I can only pretend not to know. Due to the backward medical facilities here, this illness dragged on for 3 months before it barely came to an end. It's quite good. She is responsible for healing and saving people, while I am responsible for teaching and nurturing. In terms of contributing to the country and the people, we both have a clear conscience. But I didn't expect that she would be injured on the head by a parent leading the attack. What kind of healing and saving lives is this? I see you're just harming people. A group of people filled with righteous indignation shouted for Mary to pay for their children's lives. I rushed forward to try to save her, but those people were already blinded by rage and didn't care at all. I used to be naive, but I just figured it out. That's right, maybe they're a pair of adulterers. Sticks fell on Mary and me. I don't know how long it has been, but I was pulled up by a few people. I shook my head, indicating that I was fine. Looking back at Mary, she had fallen into a coma. Someone told me that a child saved by Mary suddenly experienced vomiting and diarrhea along with dizziness after returning home and unfortunately passed away. The parents believed that Mary was responsible for the child's death, but in fact, it was their failure to follow medical advice and allowing the child to eat things they shouldn't have that led to this tragedy. I feel a bit helpless. Mary was rushed to the hospital in town overnight. However, her injuries were too severe, and coupled with her naturally frail constitution, she fell into a deep coma and had to be sent back to New York overnight. I took her back to the hospital in New York. When Mary's parents arrived, they immediately fainted from crying. They didn't seem to recognize me and just kept nodding in thanks. I didn't tell them my name. Finally, when they went to pay the bill, Mary woke up and slightly opened her eyes. She grabbed my hand and slowly said, even though I was unconscious, I could hear everything. Thank you. I only said that this is what I should do. As soon as her parents returned, I hardly left. Later, I heard that she couldn't hold on and quietly passed away. And I'm still working as a volunteer teacher. Upon hearing this news, I can only let out a sigh. Let everything go with the wind. I stayed in the village for another season. The children had begun to read whole sentences without my help. Their parents brought me eggs and wild yams as thanks. I accepted nothing except their smiles. One dusk I found Mary's stethoscope in the clinic drawer. The nurse said she had left it the day she chased after me. I hung it on a nail beside the blackboard. Every time chalk dust rose I remembered the way she once listened to my heart. Tom's trial ended with a 10-year sentence. He wrote me a letter full of Bible verses and apologies. I did not answer. Some bridges stay broken so both shores can grow trees. My parents sent a photo of their new city apartment. In the background hung my teaching certificate, framed in red. I mailed them a packet of mountain herbs and a note. These cured my cough and also my fear of being nobody. The village chief asked if I would stay another year. I said I would, but only if they built a library. 3 weeks later the men carried bricks up the hill. Women mixed mortar while singing about the river that once took their sons. I wrote lesson plans by lamplight. Outside, fireflies spelled her name in cursive. I let them finish the sentence, then closed the shutter. Even memories must obey curfew. On the first snow I hiked to the pass where Mary and I had watched meteorites. The stone cairn we built was still there, coated with ice. I added a small pebble from the schoolyard. For the years we did not waste, but traded for wisdom. A postcard arrived without a return address. Blue ink, her handwriting. I have no right to ask, yet I do, forgive the girl who chose maps instead of hands. I turned it over, wrote already done, and slipped it into the library's biggest atlas. The graduating class recited a poem they composed. They called me brother who refused to leave. When they shouted the last line we all cried. Tears feel different when you know where they come from. I resigned the next morning. The road south smelled of thawing earth. At the station I bought one ticket and did not look back. Some stories end when the lesson is finally learned.